Main event, Jey Uso yeeted his way into a transitional title run. Obviously, the debate on that it would be, was it supposed to be a transitional run to KO? I guess we won't know now. But we're going to give our takes on who will be the next champion, the one that takes it off Jey Uso. Before we get to who's going to be that next champion, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, as we are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. All right, I think Logan Paul is going to win the belt. Unfortunately, I was really hoping that Logan Paul would win it later in the year and we would get a WrestleMania main event of Logan Paul and Braun Breaker, and Breaker wins it. I don't think that happens now, so I don't know who would take the title off Paul. But my partner here has a way better story than what I think WWE's cooking with Logan Paul winning the belt. So I'm going to kick it to you now. Who do you think is taking the title off Jey Uso?
Uh, Before we get to that, you mentioned KO. I just want to put it out there that KO is my heart's first pick to beat Jey Uso, and I hope he comes back better than ever. And then also my heart's second pick was Nakamura, but we all know that wouldn't happen. My idea for who should beat Jey Uso is Finn Balor, and I believe that Finn Balor winning Money in the Bank and then cashing in 2 days later after the Jey Uso Gunther rematch would elevate his feud with Dominic Mysterio. I think that the story they're kind of going with right now is Dom has the Intercontinental title and he's the leader of the Judgment Day. And if you follow that up with Finn Balor winning the Money in the Bank and then cashing in and being the World Heavyweight Champion, that puts him above Dom again in the Judgment Day. So that just continues this. I want him to drag out this feud and whoever's going to turn on who here over the Judgment Day. Like, drag it out and give us more of this power struggle within the group. And just, I think it would be so cool to see him and Dom come out, both champions, both trying to hold their title up higher than the other guy, taking turns getting on the rope. Like, Dominic's taller, so Finn gets on the rope and holds his belt up. I think you could do little things like that. That would be great. And then I have been begging for another Ultimate Challenge with the Intercontinental Champion versus the World Champion. So, it was Ultimate Warrior and Hogan. Give us the most feared prisoner in the history of the United States, Dirty Dom, against the Demon Finn Balor at SummerSlam. That's an Ultimate Challenge I can get behind.
You didn't even mention with the dynamics, but Liv Morgan telling Daddy Dom like, "Oh, you should be the leader, Dom." Like
Yeah.
that should be hilarious. She would just be like, she could play like the sexual innuendos with Dominic, and then it's like, "Oh, well, you're the real man of the group." Like that voice in his ear, and then Dominic could be fighting like, "Oh, that's my boy," you know.
Yeah.
And then she's over here like, "Oh, well, I guess maybe I should be with Finn then." Like, and then it would just be hilarious shit. I also like the idea because it gives Dom more. It adds more to their feud. And I don't want Rollins in the title picture. I have no interest in that. And I don't think he needs to be in the title picture. Him and Punk can have their feud. Maybe Punk gets a match with Cena. But I don't think we need Punk and Rollins in the title picture.
I agree. I think that the plan is Seth and Braun against Roman and Punk, which is a huge match and it doesn't need the world title involved at all. That's a main event feud on its own. But talking about Punk, if you do this and you ultimately have Dom beat Finn for the world title, I think that Punk and Dom is a great feud for the world title towards the end of the year. And then also you talked about Logan Paul winning later in the year. I think if you turn Finn babyface with this world title, that's a great opponent for Logan Paul. And I think that so my heart's first pick is KO because I think he's owed another world title run. And right behind him is, well, besides Nakamura, unfortunately, but is Finn. I think Finn's also owed. Finn won the Universal title, but he got hurt. He only had it for a day. I think he's a guy that deserves to get another run with the world title. And I think this is a good way to get there and elevate the Judgment Day and Dominic Mysterio at the same time.
Yeah, I went into this episode 100% certain that Logan Paul was going to beat Jey Uso. Now that you mentioned this storyline with Finn, I do think that to me that makes the most sense because I just think Logan Paul makes sense because to me he's a bigger star than Jey Uso. Like Jey, it was cool, it was a nice pop. Jey probably shouldn't have beat Gunther to me, especially the way he beat Gunther. I think for the most part, people would agree he definitely shouldn't have beat Gunther that way. And you can't keep having Paul lose title matches. He's lost one to Roman, Cody, and maybe just those two, but still, like, Cody and Roman, okay. This dude's gonna lose to Jey Uso, like, get the fuck out of here. But now that you came up with this Judgment Day storyline, Triple H is a friend to Balor. Balor is dude, like, he's like imagine like freak accidents happen, but imagine like getting at the top of your game, winning the belt, not ever getting to carry it because of a freak accident and injury. And no offense to Seth Rollins, but seeing this guy get everything, like I'm just saying, like maybe 50 years from now, Balor is Bret Hart level petty. Like,
Yeah.
oh, if it wasn't for Seth
Yeah.
Rollins, like,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, like we don't know. Like Balor, let's give him one more title run and see what happens. And you already know Dominic's a main defender. Like this just builds that storyline. You mentioned the dynamics between Finn and Dom. I mentioned how Liv Morgan could like, Daddy Dom, you gotta be the leader, dude. I'm ready for Carlito and JD. Their
Yeah.
perspectives, like Carlito's hilarious to me. Like, in essence, you probably have Carlito go with Dom because Carlito likes that Raquel girl. Then you have JD with Finn because they're
Yeah.
boys. It's awesome.
So speaking of that, I think that like you could do bits of like Dom being like, I've been Intercontinental Champion for however many days, and Carlito being like, yeah, that's true, and then Finn being like, well, I'm the World Heavyweight Champion, and he's like, oh yeah, that's true too. But in terms of Carlito and JD, I would keep them with Dom, and we had mentioned like not on a show, but you were talking about David Finlay coming in. I like the idea of Finn bringing in other members of the Judgment Day without asking. And if you introduced Finlay as Finn's boy, like he could be like, I don't like JD's like, oh, I want to be loyal to you, but Dirty Dom, and he could just be like, I don't need you, and introduce this guy. I think that could be a cool dynamic and a good way to split it. Is if Finn brings in his own guys to watch his back against Dom, Carlito, and JD.
Dude, and that's badass too because Dom's been trying to get new members. Finn's like, oh, no, no, no. And then Finn starts bringing, dude, this shit could cook.
And you could do things of like Dom being like, well, we didn't discuss new members. And then Finn can kind of like look at the world title and be like, I didn't think I had to ask your permission. And
dude, I'm like super geek because now I'm like, dude, this fucking like makes sense. Finn should get another run, and this all lines up. Like honestly, like I get Logan Paul. It is huge to have him as your champion. You can't keep having him lose championship matches, but like, dude, this is really good wrestling shit. Like this guy has paid his dues. He got extremely unlucky with the injury. Like, let him get one more run.
And then maybe just kind of like free ball in here, but you could have Liv turn on Dom and side with Finn, and then they're beating him down, and you get Mommy come out.
Oh, dude, the fucking...
And we get the Randy Savage Miss Elizabeth, but she's got Dom on her shoulder.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that pop because like you assume Dom and Rhea are gonna get back together, and I'm like, well, I don't think they'll ever be like on screen again.
Yeah.
But she's gonna make a save for Dom one time. Like they're gonna get that pop. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and Dom's on his way to babyface, and I feel like this could be a good way to launch him as a babyface. And I think it's cool because you go the other way too. I think Finn could be a babyface off of this. So it's like there's a no lose situation here.
Let us know your views on who you think will beat Jey Uso and your views on this badass storyline that we could be getting with Finn Balor.